Hi, I'm Simon and a very warm welcome to another of my videos. The chances are, if you've got an old computer that uses the traditional cassette, you've had issues. And that might be with the cassette itself, or it might be with your cassette player, or who knows what. But if your experience is the same as mine, I'm guessing you've run into some problems here or there. And as a result of my experiences, I've ditched tape completely and I've moved on to using digital replacements. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at 3 different ways that I've used to replace the humble tape with digital equivalents. But I think the thing that you might find interesting is that no one solution is best fit for all my use case scenarios. So stay with me and I'll take you through each one and I'll take you through the pros and cons and you can judge yourself what's right for you. Before we jump straight in, a quick thank you to the sponsor of my channel and this video, PCBWay. Thank you, PCBWay. So let's start with this, the cheapest of all the offerings I've got to show you. This is a Bluetooth module, and you can pick these up for certainly less than a couple of pounds off the likes of AliExpress or eBay or whatever your shopping preference may be. Here is my original Spectrum, and inside it, if I take the cover off and show you, is a Bluetooth module that I fitted. We've got the power and earth lead, and then we've got the signal lead, which just runs round and connects in to the audio input on the Specky. It's nothing more complicated than that, really, and you can slate me in the comments for using the two longer wires and all the rest of it. That one could just be a really short wire up there. But the reason I did that was just so it means that I can take the module out very easily at a later date and it's not going to be in anything's way if I need to do any work on the machine. So that's the idea with the long wires for me anyway. You might prefer to do it differently to me, but it really is as simple as that. And I've also done the same on the BBC, which I'll show you. So here's one of my BBCs that I've installed a Bluetooth module in. Works exactly the same as the Spectrum. And there you can see it hiding up in the top corner there. Just connected into the 5-volt power and an earth connector, and then a signal wire running around to the underneath of the input on the back. There's probably neater ways of doing it, like I say, for the Spectrum, but it works. If you're wanting to know exactly what to install and how to connect it, I have done previous videos on both the Spectrum and the BBC as well. So look back into my previous videos. I have done videos on how you can install this yourself if it's something of interest to you. So this is it loading Manic Miner. Obviously I've sped it up quite a bit. It doesn't load at this speed, it loads at normal speed, just like you were playing a tape. So there it is, working fine. This is a new build Spectrum that I did, and you can see the Bluetooth module light shining through. You might hate that, you might like it, I don't know. I quite like it. But what I do like about this is I can get rid of all this clutter. So I don't need the tape player, that can go, and I don't need the audio leads connected. So you get really nice, clean looking Spectrum, albeit this one isn't finished yet. Stand by for another video. I have the last remaining parts on order, and I won't give away what colour key mat and surround I've gone for. You'll have to hold your breath for that excitement. So what do I like about this Bluetooth module then? Well, I like the fact that it's super cheap. I like the fact that it leaves me really clean lines with my machine. There's no extra cabling. I don't need to have the cassette deck at hand. Don't need to be messing around with the tapes. I guess the downside is I don't think there's any realistic way of saving your progress. If you're using a game with save game features, then this probably isn't a solution for you. And I guess the other downside to it is whatever machine you fit it to, it's more or less a permanent attachment, isn't it? It's not something you can just transfer easily to another machine. If you're wanting Bluetooth on another machine, I would suggest you get more than one module and you leave it in situ. And with that, you're going to need a little bit of skill to do it. But that said, I really like it, and it's great for my new build Spectrum, that's for sure. So the next thing I want to show you is this. This is a little bit more expensive. You can pick these up already made off eBay and stuff. It's a TZXDuino. It's effectively a digital replacement for a tape player, and you've got various control buttons, little display there, and on the back there's the Arduino module itself. A couple of jacks there, one for the audio out and one for motor control, which I'll touch on shortly. And there we've got a little SD card reader, which is obviously where you would store all the software on. Now, this one was very kindly sent to me by John, who watches my videos and thought I'd quite like it. And quite like it, I do a lot. If you're wanting one yourself, obviously, like I mentioned, you can buy them pre-made, or you can jump on PCBWare's website and just type in TZXDuino, and up will come this board here, which I will probably look to make up in another video. So head over to PCBWare's pages and get going if you fancy making one. But back to this one, let's power it up, and there we've got a nice little display there. Hopefully you can see that. And I've already pre-installed various different games, and I've got a folder for the BBC, folder for the ZX81, and then the vast majority of the ones are Spectrum games. You see there, scrolling through. And as the button labels would suggest, you've got up and down, play, stop, and root just takes you straight back to restart from the beginning. You've got play and stop, just like any other tape player, really. So it's exactly the same principles as the Bluetooth module that we looked at. But this one, there's no soldering involved, and you can just connect this up to anything that you want to with an audio input, really. And for those computers that you've got, like the BBC, there's a motor control as well. So if I get the BBC lead, which is this one here, we've got the ear socket, and then we've got the motor control as well, which on the BBC is a really handy thing to have. I've got the Bluetooth module, as I've mentioned, in one of my BBCs, but I like this because I don't need to be watching the BBC. When the BBC turns off the tape player, as it's partially loading to do whatever, it does that on quite a lot of games, I find. You don't need to be worrying about stopping it. The motor control will do it for you. So I think that's actually really brilliant. So let's quickly show you something loading on the BBC using this. With me having a DFS module in, I do need to select Start 8, type in chain, and then hopefully so there we have it, the TZXDuino, a great little digital loader. Things I like about it, it's relatively cheap. It does have the motor control, which I really like for using it with the Beeb. And the other thing is, you're not tied to one machine, are you? You can just unplug it and connect it up to your Specky BBC. And I've not tried it yet, but I would imagine it'll work absolutely fine with my ZX81 as well. So that's that. That's the TZXDuino. Don't forget to check out PCBWay if you fancy making one yourself. Now, the last on my list of digital loaders that I use, and it's the most expensive, but it does make up for that in a number of ways, is this smart card from Retroleum. And as you can see, it's got an edge connector there, a couple of control buttons. We also have a joystick port, and we've got the smart card reader up at the top there, the micro SD card. And that is it, really, in essence. There's not a lot to it. But I do like this, and I use it quite a lot. And here I have a 3D case, which PCBWay kindly printed. I've had to pad it out with a little bit of tape, because I'm guessing the design files aren't quite perfect. But nevertheless, can't blame PCBWay for that. That's just how it was designed. I just find it a little bit loose without it. But there you go. And so, as it would suggest, with this edge connector, it's machine specific, and indeed it is. This one is solely for my ZX Spectrum. And very simply, if I bring a Spectrum along, we've got the edge connector on the back there, and this just slots nice and simply into it. You've got to be mindful that when you're connecting anything on the Spectrum, you don't want to have it powered on. Otherwise, there's a good chance of killing your Specky, and nobody wants to do that. So with that plugged in, like I said, there's a joystick part on the side. It is literally good to go. So let's fire it up. So that's it powered on. It's straight into the menu. If you want to go to BBC Basic, you can just press Cap, Shift and Brake, and it'll exit out into the Spectrum desktop. But normally you'd power it on and straight into the games menu. And so whatever you've got loaded on the SD card is there for you to play. And we'll just go with one really quickly just to show you. Don't need to go through the whole list, do I? And you'll see it loads instantly. I'll just shut that up a second. So it loads instantly. So you get a huge convenience of it loading all but instantly, as you can see. But I think you lose a little bit of the magic of it simulating loading, like what we have done with the other ones, where it goes through just as if you were loading from tape. It's horses for courses, and you may prefer otherwise. But that's why I'm showing you the three different things. Now, for me, I quite like the fact that it has a joystick part on the side, although there's not that many Spectrum games where I'll use a joystick from. It's really simple, it's plug and play, but like I say, it's machine specific. This isn't going to work with your Beeb, is it? Or anything else for that matter. It's only going to work on your Specky. That said, it's a really simple matter of just plugging it into the back and powering it on, and off you go. And there are other versions of these sort of cards out there, just like there with the TZXDuino. This is just the one that I went for. I quite like the fact that it handles long file names, which some of the other ones on the market don't seem to do. And as well with this, there's also a little switch on the back, and it'll also run the diagnostic ROM inside it. So if we power that on and flip it over, we'll see it starting with the diagnostic ROM. So that was another reason I went for this as well. So which of these three then is my favourite? Well, as you can probably guess, I don't have a favourite, because they each fill a unique proposition, whether it's the covert and really cheap way of loading using the Bluetooth module, or the brilliant way that the TZXDuino I can use that with my Spectrum, my BBC. Imagine it worked with my ZX81, has the motor control. Absolutely brilliant. And for the Spectrum, the instant loading, the diagnostic facility on this one, the joystick port, they all have a different offering. So there's no right or wrong. They all do they'll do the same job, but in a different way. And I like them all as equally, but for different uses. So with that said, why is it then that I keep buying tapes? Well, let's get rid of that and let's give you an example. And for that, I'll have to bring in my very trusty original Spectrum with Bluetooth module. But one of my recent purchases was this. And this is the Lords of Midnight for the Spectrum. And the reason I purchased this, because I do have it on memory card. That isn't the issue, but it's the joy of physically owning stuff. That is what none of those things can replace, and why I still buy original media now. This one, obviously it comes with the book. You've got the narrative, the story behind it, which is brilliant, as well as the instructions themselves. But then there's the keyboard overlay, and obviously the tape itself. I'll just move that out of the way, because I won't ever be using the tape. But look at that. You're playing the game, you got the keyboard overlay. Fabulous. And then you've got other stuff as well, like Gunship, which is a complicated game, and you're really going to need to know what keys to press. And without instructions, yes, you could download them and go online and print them off and all that sort of stuff. But is that ever going to be better than the physical manual? Not in my opinion. And I've saved probably the best till last for you. And that is trashing his area. And that is, of course, Elite. This one being for the BBC microcomputer. And there we've got the copy of the Dark Wheel, which is just like new. The box isn't brilliant, but the manuals are in superb condition. What else have we got in here? We have the ship identifiers, the keyboard controls, and somewhere, and I think I've got it on one of my other BBCs, is I have the key panel insert for the function keys, but I think I've got that on a different BBC. And there we go. So that is why I will continue to buy tape software and never use the tape. Call me mad, but that's me. So while I'm putting these away, if you like what you've watched, then don't forget to give me a thumbs up. That's really appreciated. I will be finishing off my Spectrum build very shortly, as I think I've already mentioned. So don't forget to subscribe if you would like to see that. And in the meantime, I will wish you well and hope I will see you again soon. Bye for now.